Hello, we're back, and yes, my sarcasm brings us to the heat, which is really true at hindi natin matatago. Pero ang katotohanan lang po dyan, ang problema, ano ang kakayanan natin para maintindihan ko anong mga nangyayari? Pag-isipan po natin, andiyan dyan ang China, andiyan dyan ang Amerika. Pumasok na Amerika, may EDCA na, may napirmahan na presidente na sila-sila lang nakakita, hindi pinakita pa sa Senado, sa Kongreso at sa mga taong bayan. Pero labag o hindi yan sa konstitusyon, malalaman po natin yan. Pero sa bagay, takot naman ang Supreme Court sa presidente, baka bumigay lang naman yan eh. Ang problema, kung magkadigmaan man, saan kaya yung battleground ngayon yan? Dito, tayo na naman. Ano tayo, loko? Ano tayo, gago? Parang ganun po lalabas. Let's discuss this further, gentlemen. This issue now, we have irritated China with the provocation now comes from no less Pinoy, the president, calling them Hitler and whatnot. Okay. Although they are our biggest trading partner and they've just recently they're the biggest second market in the world, di ba? They've overtaken Japan. Meantime, America's at war or in conflict with everybody else in Eastern Europe, now even brewing in the Ukraine. Mukhang papasok na naman ng Amerikano doon. And then they've got this issue. They went around the Southeast Asian countries. They're in between Japan and China, South Korea and China, South Korea and Japan, di ba now, China and the Philippines, and now even Vietnam, who just recently, so many decades back, they were bombing the shit out of. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is the history people seem to forget, and yet here we are. After 1991, we voted to take out the American bases in this country. We cropped up and had the new constitution, no nuclear arms. And here we're signing a new deal right after we signed supposedly the Bangsamoro Pact, which still has to be presented to Congress and approved by the people. So the people have no longer any role. This president and his administration, with his supremacy, has controlled everybody and wala nang rule of law. Now, understanding most of the common thought, the common man, when they think of China and America, lahat sila kamay nakataas para sa Amerikano. Pero makikita natin sa telebisyon, yung mga red flags, nasa harap sila ng US Embassy, di ba? Down with America, down with colonialism. But we've seen that before. That's been around a long time. But the general thought, if I'm not mistaken, based on my visuals lang, mas pro-American ang Pinoy kaysa pro-China. And yet, we trade with China more than we trade with America today. Parang gano'n nangyayari. Now, nakikita nila, tama nga naman, nakikita nila binomba ang Pilipino ng tubig, mga fisherman. Naglagay na ng airport sa Mabini Island. Hindi natin alam, matatapos na yung airport. Ngayon, nagagawang construction sa Ayungin Shoal. Tapos nagdadala ng mga bato at mga pillars ng bakal, siniship na nila, di ba? And then there is also the encroachment. Just recently, yung hinuli ng mga Chinese, di ba, kinukuha yung mga turtles and wildlife na sa dyaryo. And then, nagagalit ang China, release our 11 fishermen. Ayaw, binira dito ng di ba? So what is going on? Is our government going to war because they don't understand what's going on? Are they being reactionary or are they priming us up for the kill? Is this the coup de grace, so to speak?
I think it will go down again to our people, our government, forgetting the past, the material past, dito sa our relationship with the Americans. Have we forgotten that we used to have the brand newest democracy, sovereign nation in Asia? We had the president in Aguinaldo, we had the Katipunan as a party, and then George Dewey betrayed the Filipinos instead of helping us overcome the Spaniards. We overcame the Spaniards and the Americans stepped in their place. Is that not a derogation of our sovereignty? And now we forget that and we consider them as our best friends. How can you have best friends who never respected your sovereignty? And how can you be enemies with the people of China who never stepped on our sovereignty, but in fact, integrated with the culture of our people, stayed with us, helped our economy, and never waged war with us. And here we are, we consider as friends people whose track record in history was to trample our sovereignty, to manipulate our government, and suppress our people. Look, that is the reason why still a majority of our people, the general rule is we are poor instead of rich. How come they helped the Japanese ahead of us when during World War II, we were the ones who were allies with them?
Tama nga naman.
Hindi
In the
ba?
development.
Tama nga
Oh.
naman. ano?
Reconstruction.
And then, insofar as these Pratt-list issues are concerned, I think this is peanuts. Why? If you go back to history again, what happened to Sabah? Why are we not claiming Sabah? Sabah
Para sa
is
akin yun
larger than Luzon.
Yes.
Larger than Luzon. $70 billion a month,
year.
a
Oil.
year.
Just the oil
Yes,
pa.
$70 billion. And yet, we make the one who grabbed Sabah the referee in our talk with our
The-
MILF
The
rebels.
mediator. Oo.
Can you imagine that kind of governance? Kaya nga, nakakainis kasi we have a government who wears a t-shirt, a signature t-shirt with the Philippine map without Sabah. That in itself is a very,
Good
very,
point.
is a very, very profound statement of omission na parang sinasabi mo sa taong bayan, oh, mahalin niyo ang Pilipinas, hindi kasama ang Sabah. That's terrible. We should point that out to our youth because Sabah is part of our patrimony, di ba? To secure to ourselves and our patrimony. To secure, to conserve and develop our patrimony, to secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy. Where is independence if we cannot claim Sabah, which properly belongs? Simple lang yung issue dyan eh. Hindi mahihirapan ng taong bayan. Inupahan ng mga Malaysiano yung lupang Sabah. Inupahan. Ngayon, kinakamkam na nila silang may-ari. Kahit na sentido common, yung nangungupahan, never magiging may-ari yan. Ganun lang kasimple yan. Pero ito, ang gobyerno natin, ayaw man lang pag-usapan. Yan ang klase ng pamumuno meron tayo. Saan tayo pupunta niyan? Pag-aawayan natin ng sprat list. Poporma-porma pa tayo sa China na ang lit-lit natin. And yet, yung Malaysia, nakatabi lang natin, ang laki-laki ng niland grab sa atin, hindi man lang tayo makaimik na, uy, kailan natin pag-uusapan yan? Pag-usapan man lang, ayaw pang pag-usapan. Tapos sa sprat list, poporma-porma tayo na parang war footing pa. Nakakahiya. Hindi natin maaaring
Dadagdagan ko
ituro
lang,
yan.
Hari.
Oh, sige, sige,
Ay,
sige.
dadagdag ko sa kanya is, ang conventional history ng alam ng ating mga kabataan was the Philippines was discovered in 1521. So, lumabas, para bang sa history book, naging bansa lang tayo noong 1521. So, the next question I ask is, what was the islands called before 1521? Now, nakuha namin yung record nito sa Beijing. It was during the Ming Dynasty and the date was 1422.
100 years before.
1422. Ano yung nakalagay doon? That there was a treaty signed between the East Kingdom. The islands was called as the East Kingdom, governed by the four kings, headed by the Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo, the one that signed the first treaty. That's why, nung dumating dito si Hu Jintao in 2005 and addressed the Congress, the beginning statement was, the friendship between the Philippines and China is not new. The relationship goes all the way, in the years, I will repeat again, 1422, when our forefathers.
What was the country name as far as they are concerned? Did
That's
they-
why we were called the East Kingdom.
The East Kingdom.
Yes.
The
Now,
East
but,
Kingdom.
But it was led by the primus inter pares, the first among equals, by the Sultanate
The
of
Sultan.
Sulu. That's why in their book, yung Sulu Sea was called Laut Sulu in their map, in the chart, Laut Sulu. Now, why is it that a big body of water is named after the smallest island? Because China recognizes the Sultanate as
Ever
the governing body. And that's why it was named. Why did they not name it Palawan or Zamboanga, but it was named after the small, because the Sultanate of Sulu was the government that they recognized, the treaty. Now,
I
kung
see.
para sabihin kong atin yan, alam kong atin na yan kaya as a lawyer kasi, he knows the consequences no, of why government is inactive. Yung pag-usapan nga lang naman daw, ba't ay pag-usapan? Wag,
Bakit tayo alam natin to? Di ba nila alam to sa Malacanang?
Imposibleng hindi nila alam. Sa UP
tayo
Law-
lang ang magaling,
sa
ang Malacanang
UP
walang
hindi.
alam.
Sa UP Law Center, 1970 pa, merong ganito kakapal na libro, compilation ng mga batayang dokumento ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas para ipakita na yung Sabah matagal nang kinikilala ng Malaysia na sa atin.
yes.
Kahit Amerika, kinikilala na sa
Yes.
atin yan.
Hindi ba alam ng mga mambabatas natin? Hindi ba nila alam yan? Yung mga, bakit tayo kaya natin pag-usapan very openly and come up with these truths? And yet, Malacanang acts disproportionately. And our leaders who have been around, the luminaries, as they are called, or they like to be called, they perceive themselves to be, they are with government, acting as if they are ignorant of these issues that we talk about so openly.
1967, Ginoong Tambuat ko, nagbukas ang ating Department of Foreign Affairs ng tinatawag na North Borneo Section. An office at the Foreign Affairs Office. Because why? The Manila Accord was the beginning when Tunco Abdul Rahman, invited then by, at that time, Diosdado Macapagal, and witnessed by Sukarno, signed the Manila Accord, where Malaysia, without hesitation, recognized the validity and the legality of the claim of the Sultanate of Sulu over North Borneo. And in that agreement, they agreed that they now will subject themselves to arbitration in the International Court of Justice. In 1967, that's a government document. A presidency is a continuing presidency.
Pero natulugan.
Bakit tinulugan Bakit ayun lang, simulan doon na lang na merong dokumentong 4 na pinirmahan na dokumento?
You know what they did? Yun pinag-usapan nila, nagkasundo sila na pag-uusapan. Alam mo ang ginawa ng Malaysia nung pinag-uusapan na? Nag-walk out.
Nag-walk out.
Nag-walk out.
Tama.
Nag-walk out yun.
Nag-walk out,
Panahon,
nag-walk out.
nagkagulo nun Malaking balita yan. Panahon ni President Marcos yata yun.
Correct ko.
Tapos, pumutok yung Jabida Massacre.
Jabida Massacre. Si Aquino rin yan.
Si Aquino na gano'n nun. Tapos pinalabas niya na masamang tao si Marcos na
Mali yan,
gustong i-invade ang Sabah.
Hindi.
Hindi. Kung ano man yung plano na bawiin yung Sabah, ano ba masama na bawiin mo yung sa iyo?
Sarili mo. Oo.
Kaya nga, magmula nung ginawa ni Nino yon, parang kumalma, nahinto. Sino natuwa? Di Malaysia, natuwa sila kasi tumagal yung usapin. Kumbaga, napanis yung usapin. Nabaon sa limot ng sambayan ng Pilipino yung init ng kanilang pag-angkin dun sa kanila talaga.
Kanilang lupa yan.
Ayun na nangyari. Kaya ngayon, medyo hirap na tayong pukawin yung init ng pag-angkin natin sa kung ano ang atin.
Gentlemen, we're at the top of the hour and we already on overtime and we're going to have to end the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if only we could realign all this concentrated heat, put it into Malacanang, and put a trigger and blow it up. So we'll be done with these leaders, only to see our future unfold properly in front of us, so be it. Problem is we can't. And we're stuck with leaders who don't know what they're doing, and it's so sad. But mind you, as you and I sit looking at each other, I'm here in the studio looking at you, you're in your living room. You know who we are betraying? Our children, our grandchildren, the people that will come way after us, simply because we have the remote. And we can turn this TV show off and go back to Channel 2 and find out how short the hair can go and enjoy that the haircuts are getting shorter and shorter and the dances are getting better and better, all out of tune, in unison, worse, to drum up the beat that you and I can't even stand. But then again, like I said, nasa inyong remote. Okay, turn it off. Switch it. There's more entertainment in the other stations. Go for it. And say goodbye to your children. Magandang gabi po. Thank you very much.
You are what you watch.